Hello, it's early, and I'm doing a YouTube video. And, I hope you like it. It's called End Grain Cutting Boards, is the name of my video. And if you own an end grain cutting board, chances are you know your way around the kitchen. I know, since I built them, me and my dad. Simply stated, the phrase end grain refers to the top surface of the board being the end of the board, as opposed to the side, which is the most common form of construction for your run-of-the-mill cutting board. To better describe it, pick up a length of wood, say about 24 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 2 inches thick. Now add 4 more, just like it. Take all 5 pieces of wood and lay them flat on a table, side by side. Pour some glue in between each piece. Squeeze them together for 2 hours. 2 hours. You have just built your first cutting board. Yeah, baby. But before you get too excited here, the board just created. I mean, the board you just created is, you guessed it, your run-of-the-mill cutting board. My dad likes to use expressions on it in his life. Now, don't be discouraged just yet. Go get your saw and cut your new cutting board crosswise at 3 inches intervals. You should end up with 8 separate lengths of wood, each measuring 2 inches tall, 3 inches wide, and 15 inches long. Okay, here's the fun part. Line all 8 pieces side by side as if you're going to glue them back together like it was before you cut them. Take like it was before you cut them. Take each board and turn it on 1/4 of a turn so that they now stand at 3 inches tall, 2 inches wide, and 15 inches long. Line them all up side by side. Pour some glue in between each one. Squeeze for 2 hours, and voila. You have now created an end grain cutting board measuring 16 inches long, 15 inches wide, and 3 inches thick. Yeah, at 3 inches thick. It actually qualifies as a chef's chopping block. Time to party, baby. Time to party, baby. Hey, slow down, Pilgrim. You forgot a most critical step in the process. Sanding. If I take your run-of-the-mill cutting board and put it through my sanding machine, meaning my dad, I can get a fairly smooth surface in about 5 or 6 passes. Now take the same sanding machine and put an end grain cutting board through it. Which was a question. It now takes 50 or 60 passes to get that same smooth surface. The reason for this extra hardness, sorry for the hissing. The reason for this extra hardness is due to the fact you're sanding into the true strength of the tree. Gravity. Huh? It's true, but more to the point, it's anti-gravity. In order for a tree to reach its full potential, it must garner as much sunlight as possible, which means it must push against the strongest force in nature, gravity. In doing so, it develops its wood fiber strength in an upward motion so that its leaves can reach the sky. Any logger will tell you his axe is a lot more effective against the side of his tree as opposed to hitting the top of the trunk. But let's get back to the kitchen. As the wood fibers are running horizontal in an end grain board, when your knife is slamming onto the wood in a slicing or chopping motion, you'll come to realize the amount of knife scars you'll leave behind are minimal and sometimes non-existent. Think of this in terms of a paintbrush. Bear with me. If you lay the brush on its side, take your knife and slice across the bristles. Yeah, I know. You now have half a paintbrush. Now stand the same brush on end. Take that same knife and slide it into the bristles. You notice how the bristles move aside for the blade. Same concept on the end grain board. As you're not actually cutting the bristles, you're not also same brush on it. Take that same knife and slide it into the bristles. You notice how the bristles move aside from the blade, which was a question. Same concept on the end grain board. As you're not actually cutting the bristles, you're also not cutting the wood fibers. So what happens to the brush when you move the knife? That's right. They go right back to their original place in life. We should all know our place. Same thing on the board. I can show 2 cutting boards in my kitchen in use for 1 and 2 years respectively, and you would be hard pressed to find one knife mark. let's talk about maintenance. As you can imagine, a lot of bonding goes into the creation of an end-grain board. Subsequently, a lot of glue is used in the construction. It may be helpful to understand that water is the enemy here. Not running water, mind you, but standing water. One of the keys to keeping your new cutting board for generations is to keep it well sealed. When I build my boards, I finish with a coat of pure beeswax and mineral oil, both of which are food safe and biodegradable, which also means it needs to be replenished every 2 to 6 months, depending on use. Most grocery stores will offer a product referred to as cutting board wax or sealer. In my local grocery, they have a product called Butcher Block Conditioner, which contains beeswax, carnauba wax, yes, and mineral oil. A 12-ounce bottle should last 2 or 3 years. If you apply it every 2 months, which I recommend. One reason I use the heavy-duty pads on my boards is to keep it high enough off the countertop that any arid water spills will put the wood in a standing water environment, which, like I stated earlier, can do serious harm to your board. It's perfectly safe to wash it, as I do at least 3 times a week. But you should always pat it dry, just to be safe. A little bit of care and love in this board will be handed down to the next generation if you like them enough. Alright, guys and girls, that was it for now. There will be more of me in my next video. Stay tuned for more. Alright, guys and girls. And please rate, comment, like, favorite, subscribe, and view thoughts and opinions and thoughts. Alright. Okay. Bye.